No, I didn't say Christ was Vishishta. I said Christ and Krishna are same in a certain aspect, and in a certain aspect they are different. Because the Krishna will not come back. He's gone into loftier spheres of awareness and being. And so that is the third secret Buddha. Fourth secret Buddha is Gautam, who has also gone before us in robes of light. And the fifth secret Buddha is Maitreya, a portion of which may be the Christ. Because of the apocalyptical, the revelations, and because of the prophecies which are given, that I shall come again in fire and sword. And the Kalki Purana has given the clue that it is Maitreya, a sage of the fire mist called Maitreya Buddha. He is a rishi, and it appears that a portion of Christ is Maitreya Buddha, which is Jesus. That seems to make it intriguing and interesting, doesn't it, Samo?
Yeah.
Let's dig into that a little deeper. Let's go a little deeper. Yes?
So, is it possible that the Christ in his physical incarnation had a twin? Or can you talk about that?
So is it possible that the Christ in his physical incarnation had a what?
Twin. And could you talk about that?
You see, they say that when Jesus came, he had a twin called Judas. Jesus and Judas were twins. If Judas hadn't accompanied Jesus, the work would not have been accomplished. We call Judas evil, but we should thank Judas for giving us Jesus. And because Judas betrayed Jesus, we were able to step on the evolutionary path. Otherwise, nobody had the courage to betray Jesus. They melted. Nobody had. Judas had it. Judas knew he was doing it. He objected to doing it, but he was told, please, you must do this because the work has to be done. It has to be established. Like Jesus had visions, so did Judas. And the angel of Annunciation told him that this is your work. Go ahead and do it. What about my hell and my damnation? There is no hell for you, O Judas. You will evolve like the rest of us. Do the work. Christ has to be put upon the cross. Jesus has to fulfill the scriptures. And that Judas was the twin of Jesus. But if you're talking about the twin soul of Jesus in this incarnation, the second advent, the spirit of Jesus merges into the Elohim. It merges into a collective consciousness of the angelic hierarchy of the highest heavenly host. Maybe it's the thrones. The collective thrones, the collective hierarchy of the heavenly host, which is the highest sages of the fire mist, form that spiritual fire, form that spiritual energy, which at its highest level is one. And yet, when a flame separates from that collective consciousness of divine fire, when that flame of Jesus, or Maitreya, or Krishna, or Christ, or Ram, or Zarathustra, separates from the Elohim of the lightless light, which lights that light, which lights the light of all our souls. That is the collective Elohim of the highest thrones. When it separates, it takes on a different identity. It is separated. When it is collective, it is called God, Ishva, Yahweh, Hayya. So this Hayya is the breath of eternity, which lives and moves in every single body. It breathes through our breath and beats through our heart and lives through our beings. And this collective hierarchy, they say, is the heart of divinity throbbing in humanity, is Babaji. Now when this person called the revered father, Babaji, who is the lightless light of the collective Elohim, of the angelic hierarchy called the thrones, this collective Elohim in a sense is called God, in a sense is called not God. He is the non-being essentiality, and when a flame separates itself from that, whether it be the Krishna, the Christ, or the Maitreya, that flame is called the Kalki Avatar. Now, which of those flames is going to separate? We do not know. it is beyond my comprehension or my highest state of realization, is dwarfed in front of this ultimate finality, which is known only to the person or the divine being that is coming. But we do know one thing, that the divine mind of Krishna was lent for the coming, and the causal body and divine mind of Krishna shall be worn by Maitreya when he comes here. So if we say that if Maitreya comes, rather than cause Krishna or Christ to come, why don't we talk about Maitreya and Jesus? Because Christ is a higher initiation than Jesus. Jesus is the man who became the God. Christ is the God who incarnated as the man. So there's a difference. So Maitreya and Jesus seem to have a very close affinity. And these are two names given to the same person. Is this being noted? Because when I go into the state, I don't always remember what I've said. So we've gone into a very deep state. I meant to give you a lighter satsang. I wonder how many of you can dig it. I hope all can dig it. And why are there so many people in the pubs and bars and so less people for spiritual satsangs? Because they can dig the pub and the bar, they can dig the ale and the wine. They can't dig spiritual truths. There's a few of you, and many of you have the opportunity to come as spiritual workers and servers of humanity in this very life and the life to come, when the Kalki Avatar, when the Maitreya shall walk upon this earth, the second advent. Christ is an office. The Avatar is an office. And this office will be filled by Jesus and Maitreya, the son of Parashar. Yes?
What is the nature of consciousness?
What is the consciousness of nature? The consciousness of nature is grosser, material, ramified, and deceived by mortal eyes. But the nature of consciousness is none, because you cannot define consciousness. It is beyond nature, it is beyond mind. And do not try to grasp with your mind that which is of the subject of no mind. How can I describe no mind with a mind? You cannot, because it is not the subject of mind to understand the no mind. The no mind is the no mind. So the incomprehensible consciousness is not understood by the mind. But yes, the nature, or in American language, the consciousness of nature can be defined. We don't call it the consciousness of nature, we call it the nature of mind. But in America they say consciousness. This world is but a thoughtfulness. I've told my people 100 times to put this on the website, but in the Bay Area they do it 1 year later, but I don't think it's still put. I think it's not put, I'm not trying to criticize it. I'm just trying to say why it's not there. But I've requested again and again, please put this poem Reality on the website. Maybe it is there, I've not read it. Maybe the poem Reality is there. Cup of Tea was put, Deja Vu was put, Reality. The nature of consciousness, the consciousness of nature. This world is but a thoughtfulness of maic atoms intertwined, whose electrons are energy of light essence sublime. The Krishna and the Christ perceived light to be form of energy, emanating from that omniscient mind, that one cosmic reality. They further saw that energy was not the final law. It was a grosser consciousness, and that too had its flaw. Then I say, the Einstein based his theory on relativity and light, and the Newton discovered the laws of motion. I've put all this, and then I ultimately say that that one cosmic reality is spirit they perceived, whose omnipresent essence is everlasting bliss. Composed of nothing, yet of which all else is sure composed, it stands supreme beyond all dreams, eternally reposed. That's what I've tried to say about consciousness. Of course, words fall short, but I'm looking for another person like mine, a twin of mine who's also composing poems like this. I've unfortunately not found one. Maybe it is Kuga who's composing, maybe it's Ranveer who's composing it, maybe it's Marilyn who composes, or Alvira or somebody, I don't know. Maybe. So if anybody sees spiritual poems, just bring them to me. So have you understood now? I described nature in the first verse, the consciousness of nature. This world is but a thoughtfulness of maic atoms intertwined, whose electrons are energy of light essence sublime. This world our sages did perceive is mind stuff materialized. This world our sages did perceive is mind stuff materialized. In relative sequence it is built, deceiving mortal eyes. You know why I stop? To give you time to dig it. To give it time to sink, because this is not Baba Black Sheep, Have you any world? This world our sages did perceive is mind stuff materialized. In relative sequence it is built, deceiving mortal eyes. That is the nature, the consciousness of nature. The Krishna and the Christ perceived light to be form of energy, emanating from that omniscient mind, that one cosmic reality. But energy they saw was not the final law. It was a gross of consciousness, but that too had its flaw. So I've described the nature, the consciousness of nature, right? And the consciousness of mind, that one cosmic reality is spirit they perceived, whose omniscient essence is everlasting bliss. Composed of nothing, yet of which all else is sure composed, it stands supreme, beyond all dreams, eternally reposed. If I had a good translator, but I'm going to translate it myself, this would be one of the master philosophies of the modern age, which tallies with quantum physics and metaphysics. This would be it. But somehow we are not able to push it. People are not listening to me when I say put it up on the website. Can we put this up tonight? Okay. Put it up tonight or whenever you want, but in the 24 hours. Yes?
Is any intellectual understanding necessary for self-realization?
Not at all. Not at all.
Or for God realization?
Not at all.
None is necessary.
But intellectual understanding is necessary. What we are doing here is intellectual, but it's so juicy. We have to pull the intelligentsia. We have to pull the intelligent crowd is called the intelligentsia. So in order to pull the intelligentsia and then thrash the intelligence out, is to simplify your life, to become like a baby, to become like a child. This is important. And therefore, I have been given this artificial intelligence by God, although I don't like it. I've been given it to approach people of America and talk to them in their own terms, to speak. Of course, poetry is not very popular in America. They don't write poetry these days. It's not in vogue. But that's why I'm encouraging that these sort of poetry should be put on the website. Because the poetry stand apart. They are poems with a difference. It's speaking the highest quantum physics. I can write a book this thick on that poet, on the poetry. So if you don't give me a chance and facilitate, because I'm a computer illiterate, if you don't give me a chance, then I cannot proceed with my work. If you want me to write more books and proceed with my works, then you should make it available for me, my books, my poems. Rather than you write my books, I prefer I write it, or I dictate it, and then you transcribe it. And now today, these days, you have so many beautiful gizmos, those e-pads, email, iPod, iLink, iPhone. You just put an iPhone there and you'll get everything, the whole video. And you should buy your guru an iPhone so that when I say, okay, Ranbir, and then it rings, ding, 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 it rings the thing. Okay, Yaniv, I just have to speak it. I don't have to remember the numbers. So you see, America also is doing its bit, but we must use it for the proper purposes. Okay, next question. Yes?
The coming that we're describing, 200 to 300 years, is that an event that occurs periodically through time, and in the cosmic scheme, what is its purpose?
This is an event which occurs periodically through time. And when the planets are in a certain conjunction and in a certain position, astrologically, when the earth is ripe and favorable for the receiving of these great beings, they come and do their work. Their work is to establish righteousness upon earth, to destroy all the negativity, to establish righteousness, and to bring about an equilibrium of the balance of the three gunas of Sattva, Raja and Tama, which are the subatomic particles. So there should be no haphazardness, no going berserk. You see people under stress and all, how they behave crazy, they go off the handle. So to prevent this, the Kriya Yoga has been given. And the basic purpose, of course, over and above this, and lying to the core of this, is the evolution of the spiritual consciousness of creation. So this is ultimately a time-reversed program, traveling faster than light, back to the future faster than light, when you merge in your own divine consciousness. Yes?
I've been noticing a lot of natural disasters lately in the last few years, like Katrina and the tsunami waves, and bursts of tornadoes that have in a concentration that have never occurred before. Is this part of a tool they're using to increase spiritual growth on the planet, or is there any connection between the spiritual evolution they want and the more frequent disasters that are happening?
I think that there is a connection of everything with everything in the universe. But I do not think that there is any direct connection with this and the catastrophe, but in a way, yes, it's a purging process. Nature works out the karma of man, and by giving him retribution, he works out the karma of man. Those who have done good deeds, nature rewards them, the karmic law rewards them. And as we meditate, we also get rewarded and punished. Because when you meditate and you're going along the spiritual path, stored impressions from past lives bubble up from the surface of the mind's lake to distract the yogi and pull him down to the earth. Then he struggles and practices to rise again. Again he is pulled down, but be not discouraged. Keep practicing Kriya Yoga and meditating. Keep identifying yourself with the conscious seer and not with the perishable body. The practice is to identify with the conscious seer. Hold the conscious seer that I'm not the speaker, you're not the listener. We are all one consciousness. We are the subjective witness. God is a subjective experience. And we must hold on to the subjective nature of observing things and not passing a judgment. The moment you pass a judgment, you go into the objective. What a beautiful rose. Finished. Beauty of the rose is gone. What beautiful flowers. Finished. Finished. So it's a subjective experience. I'm going to give you a healing experience of Kriya Yoga through Shaktipat, the Kundalini experience. You have to get ready for it. Yes. Yes, who else? Yes?
Could you talk a little bit about what role St. John the Baptist was playing and how that relates to your work and telling us about the Kalki Avatar?
Well, John the Baptist was Elijah and Jesus was Elisha, right? So, John the Baptist and Jesus were Elijah and Elisha, and they were both realized souls. according to me, these were really totally realized souls, almost liberated on the verge of liberation, where they had to get their last bit of karma worked out. And both of them died a violent death due to revealing the mysteries of the gods to man in his so-called defiled mind, and then therefore had to pay the penalty of a violent death. Salome asked for the head of John the Baptist. She was dancing, and they said, "What would you want?" So she told Herod, "I want the head of John the Baptist." John the Baptist died a violent death. Okay? The head, asking for the head was just a natural event, a historical event, but the repercussion may be revealing too much of the sacred knowledge to people who are not ready. And it didn't matter to John the Baptist because he was an ascetic. He knew that he was not the body, he was the soul. So big deal. It happened in a flash and he went. Jesus revealed the secrets of the gods to man, and prematurely, and when the people and the rabble were not ready. And he had to be crucified on the cross. But Jesus had already gone to India and learned from one of the Nath yogis, his guru called Chaitanya Nath. There's also a person called Babaji Chaitanya Babaji. Okay. So this Chaitanya Babaji was also the guru of Jnaneshwar and Tukaram along the passage of time. This Chaitanya Babaji was from northern India. We do not know who this Babaji Chaitanya was. But he definitely initiated Jesus. And they said, when they put you on the cross, you can take your consciousness, put it on your head, and keep it there in samadhi. And when you came off the cross, bring it down and resuscitate yourself. And he resuscitated himself. So these people, they had come for this work and they gave forth this work. A more mature soil and a more congenial atmosphere was found in India, where people were already in deeper meditation. They were already prepared. The Buddha had already sowed the seeds and prepared people. In Muhammad's case, he gave the knowledge to people who were barbaric in a desert land. He had to flee from place to place. Most of his time went in political marriages. He married Khadija, who was 40 years older than him, and then married Aisha, who was 20 years younger than him. So he was oscillating between a big pendulum of Maya. So the difference between poor Muhammad's marriages was 60 years. One wife was 60 years older than the other wife. So he touched both the ends of hickory dickory dock. So poor Muhammad must have had a big tough time managing these two wives. One 20 years elder than him and one 20 years younger than him. But that was the life and setup. He never gave the highest techniques of meditation or kriya. He just gave a political do's and don'ts, moral ethics, that's all. To the desert people, there were a lot of human sacrifices then. So then he didn't have to die this sort of a death. So I've answered more than your question, right? Okay. Yes.
So I have a question about timelines. When you were talking about the second coming or the golden age, in the Vedas they talk about 4 yugas, the Dwapara, Treta, we're in the Kali Yuga. Is that corresponding with the Satyuga, the golden age, when that second advent is coming?
No. He's not coming in the golden age, he's coming in the Leo Aquarius age, the new age. The Satyuga, you see there are two Satyugas. One is the bigger cycle of billions of years, which we mistook. They are the cycle of the gods. The other is the human cycle of 24,000 years, which is the human cycle. In the 24 cycle years also, I think it goes into the Treta, from the Dwapar to the Treta. At the junction of the Dwapar Treta, I think that it will be the coming of the Kalki. Or at the end of Kalki, the small Kalki and the beginning of Dwapar. If you look to the divine science by Sri Yukteswar, the holy science, he has given the time cycles, the human time cycles. In that you can tell the coming of the Kalki avatar. I've calculated and made a cycle myself. I'm going to give you a healing transmission now. And after which I will give you a guided meditation of flight. This is a foretaste of the Paravastha which I am going to give in the Kriya Yoga initiation. The healing transmission which I give you will be at the physical, emotional and spiritual levels. Whatever you want to take it in. If you can be a subjective witness, you can give this as an experience of healing. As experiences of healing are wanted as testimonials to encourage more people to get initiated into Kriya Yoga. And very few people are giving these testimonials. We need to give it and broadcast it, because how will the work of Babaji spread if it is not broadcasted? There's one way, of course, I know it will spread. Even if I sit in a cave, those who have to come will come to the Himalayas and get initiated. But why not give it to them on a platter? Why not give them a chance? People who are involved in the material welfare of others, the philanthropists and all, let's give them a chance to be involved in the spiritual welfare of others. Now you have to be ready. Form the Golden Gate Bridge between your heart and my heart. Drop all inhibition and armor. And make yourself available to the Master. I'm transmitting the healing energy now at whatever level you want it, for whatever quality or whatever vice you want dissolved or virtue you want increased. In the name of Shiv Goraksha Babaji, I shall now invoke his great presence, give you the Shakti. Anandamaनन्दकरप्रसन्नं ज्ञानस्वरूपं निजबोधरूपं योगेन्द्रमिलयं भवरोग्यवैद्यं श्रीमद्गुरुं नित्यं वहं भजामि. There's a golden lotus in your heart. Form the golden gate bridge between your heart and my heart. Before I start, I'd like the lights to be switched off.